Hi, welcome to the Diablo podcast. We are online at diablopodcast.com. I am your host, Flux, and I am joined on this show by Neinball
Guten Tag.
and Grug, a first-time guest.
Hi.
And Neinball, you are currently in Florida, and as I understand it, you are lashed to a palm tree hanging on against torrential rains.
Yeah. Luckily, we're just gonna miss the hurricane, but yeah, it's been raining nonstop for the past few days now. But at least if I could go outside, it's like 82 compared to the rest of the nation.
But you'd be underwater immediately.
I have to get the gills out. Yeah.
And you are in a similar tropical paradise, am I right, Grug?
Yeah, although instead of, alcohol and pretty girls, we have snow and more snow.
Where are you located?
In Massachusetts.
That's in America, right?
Yes.
Last
Sure.
time you checked.
Yeah, I mean, there's been talk about seceding from the nation, but probably not going to go anywhere.
And you are in a college dorm room, as people may be able to hear from your excellent acoustics.
Yes, indeed. I believe we talked before the show about me taking out a few walls, but sadly impractical.
So you guys both had quite a travel. We're going to talk about BlizzCon primarily in this show, and you're both on the East Coast of the U.S., many thousands of miles distant.
Oh, yeah. It was a heck of a ride, yeah. Got up at 5 a.m., 6-hour plane ride, another 6 hours in line getting my badge.
And then
Yeah.
6 hours back home.
Oh, yeah. Well, that wasn't so bad. I just slept the whole way.
And when did you get back home, Nineball?
We flew back in on Monday, so we got there on Thursday. Although we didn't have quite as long of a wait in line. What was it? I think we headed over around like 7:30, and it was maybe a 30-minute wait in order to go through and get our tickets, as opposed to
And
trying to get them right there at 4.
and so you stayed for an extra day on Sunday. Did Mickey say hi?
Oh, we were actually at one of the Disney hotels, and even though we opted not to, they had a breakfast with Mickey every single morning downstairs. So as we were like getting ready to walk over to the convention center, you're being just hordes of children running through, all screaming, waiting to get into the breakfast buffet.
As I said, this show is going to be about BlizzCon primarily. We've talked about Nineball has been a regular podcast guest and a regular BlizzCon attendee. This was your what, fourth or fifth BlizzCon?
This was my fifth, yeah,
So you've been to every one except for the first one.
that's correct.
Nice.
And how does this compare? How would just briefly? We're going to talk about a lot more detail later, but where would you rank this one for your enjoyment level on your five BlizzCons?
This one actually had to be one of the best ones for me. Not so much for the content, but for just the experience of the people that I got to go with.
So did you hook up with a cosplayer or something?
No one in the group was cosplaying, but I think there was about like 11 of us total, like at different points in the convention that were going around to the different panels and the demos and things like that. There were about 6 people from my guild. And we also met up with the Eliminator as well as Siege Valgor from the forums. We briefly met up with Thomas, one of the beta testers, also from the forums there. Briefly. It was pretty cool. Friday morning, he came out and he brought us out coffee while we were sitting there in line, and then it disappeared from there.
So you had your own raid group basically.
Yes, we successfully raided BlizzCon.
Did you assign roles? Were you a cleric or something? Who was your party leader? Who was your tank?
I think that was kind of me because I was the only one like out of the group besides 2 others that had actually been there before to kind of say don't go to the Q&A panels. The WoW demos are gonna suck. Try and focus in on some of these other things.
And this was not your first BlizzCon, Grug?
No, this is actually my third.
Wow, aren't you
Oh,
special?
nice.
Yeah.
You made a long trip many times.
Yeah. Funny story, in 2009 when I first got to go, I actually had to, I missed the tickets the first time, so I bought one. And then I got a second one from a contest from the now defunct Diablo planet for making the best fan class. This year, I just managed to get the tickets in time.
So where would you rank this BlizzCon overall, Grug, as Nineball just did?
Well, I think 2009 was probably my favorite one with the monk and the Act 2 demo for Diablo specifically. This year was a close second, just because I started going to more than just Diablo stuff. I went to the live forum. That was pretty nice. I got to talk with Bashiok in person, and just generally enjoyed the con experience a lot more.
And some months ago, when I was talking about the BlizzCons with Neinball, we were saying this year would be kind of a down year for Diablo 3 stuff, at least. Because
Yeah.
they weren't going to announce the sixth class, obviously, and we kind of knew all the features. So how did you feel about the Diablo stuff in particular, or were you happier just because of the overall show? It was a pretty good year for StarCraft and Warcraft, I suppose.
Well, I thought that I was actually kind of relieved that the beta or the demo this year for Diablo 3 was just the beta content, which I'm already in. So I felt free to go explore the con rather than, wait in line for hours to get as many playthroughs as I could. PvP demo was pretty sweet, though. I did that a couple times. And
What did you think about the overall Neinball?
I thought it was really good. I think StarCraft probably had one of the better showings this year. This was definitely, they kind of stole the show as far as like what they had to offer, I think. But I was actually really surprised by how much they had new info on Diablo. Particularly the lore panel was just amazing, as is just seeing the Black Soulstone cinematic and then the making of later on Saturday. Pretty much like everyone else has said, the PvP demo was just amazing.
Yeah, we knew there weren't going to be any big Diablo 3 reveals. At least we thought there wouldn't be. It wasn't like they were going to have a sixth class, right? Hey, Necromancer after all. Surprise.
Yeah. I thought it was just kind of going to be, here's Diablo 3 for show, and this is the stuff that we're working on in the beta. I didn't really expect them to come out with a cinematic or, to go that deep into the new lore that they've been creating in that one particular lore panel.
Yeah, they've been so secretive about the plot. We all kind of thought there was going to be some Belial and some Osmodan and some Diablo somewhere in the game. But, they really just said, okay, Act 2 is all about Belial or Belial or Baliel or some name I can never pronounce. Mm-hmm. And then they gave us really a lot of Act 3. It's Osmodan and of course they had the whole cinematic showing Osmodan and his, what he looks like and a lot of lore stuff about it. Mm-hmm. Were you guys surprised that we got all that?
Yes, I am, especially since Blizzard barely shows any content outside of, BlizzCon just because they're so worried about spoilers. And yet here they go giving away the most of the plot of the whole game.
Is it a spoiler if Blizzard gives it away?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that would still fall under a spoiler for those that, want to experience it once the game itself actually comes out.
Yeah, we've had that issue because people have, a lot of people ask, don't put spoilers on the main page, and we've had all of this data mining from the beta with, we already had pictures of these two bosses they revealed at the show, and knew basically where they were in the game, all these secret pony code words and stuff they've had.
Yeah.
So, we've been trying not to put it on the main page, and if we do, allude to it, say there's spoilers in this forum post, and then it's like, the cover of the BlizzCon program basically.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's Osmodan. It's like, should I be not reporting on this? And some people actually were like, you shouldn't report this because I didn't want to know. I'm like, well, I can't stop you from looking at BlizzCon.com,
I know. Diablo in all her glory.
Diablo.
Shiablo, Liablo, yes.
Yeah.
So I guess we can talk about that briefly. What did you guys think about the apparently the childbearing hips that Diablo is now packing?
Well, if you play through the beta or, watch one of the 1,000 streams that are out right now, they actually pretty heavily hint that was going to happen in the beta itself. And one of the people at the lore panel Q&A actually called out Metzen and the other guys about that, and they kind of got all flustered and, worried. And
we can't answer that.
Yeah, that's exactly what they said. They said no comment.
Which is, of course, a comment in of itself.
Yeah.
So, jumping back to the general stuff, just for a brief coverage of StarCraft, for people who don't follow that, like me, they have a new expansion coming out. I believe next summer. They're targeting it for now. Yes.
Yeah.
The first expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it was really cool, Neinball. You saw I heard other people say the same thing. You played the demo and there was new units and stuff.
Yeah, man, I played the campaign demo and the PvP demo once for the StarCraft, and being able to test out those new units was pretty fun. I'm not exactly the best StarCraft player out there. I hover back and forth between, like the Gold and the Platinum League. But it's just was really nice being able to play with some of those new units, particularly the Zerg units, were tons of fun. And also just the way that they have the new campaign structure set up with having instead of just, you build an army and go and send it out, you actually have Kerrigan, the hero unit, to lead it in there. So you have, you have a little bit more interest in the character itself as you play through the missions, instead of having the main character, someone that you never really see besides in cutscenes.
I heard a lot of criticisms or complaints about the StarCraft 2 single player. People were a little unhappy with the plot and such. Do you feel like they were doing a better job in the expansion from what you've seen?
I think it's a little bit too early to make an assumption, because you only got to see like 2 missions, and they aren't. And those particular missions, even though they're towards the beginning of the game, they're not the first missions that you play. You don't know how exactly, Kerrigan has got there, or, exactly how she ends up in that situation. I was okay with the first game's storyline. I actually enjoyed it, but they did, retcon some things from the first game, and I know that there were a lot of people that were disappointed with that, but I liked it.
Wouldn't you be disappointed if Blizzard didn't retcon in a game? I mean, it's a tradition now. It's like missing release dates. So I guess that was a hypothetical question. So, Grug, did you check out StarCraft 2 at the show?
Not a lot of it. I played...
Okay, next topic then. No, sorry, go ahead.
I did play Blizzard Dota, though, if that counts.
We'll get to that later.
All right.
So, and then Warcraft. Okay, we'll just do Dota briefly. Did you check out Dota any Neinball? Or,
yes, I did. I played the Dota once.
Either of you guys play the current Dota, the Warcraft 3 version?
No.
I never really got into the Dota back in the Warcraft 3. I did play Aeon of Strife back in StarCraft many years ago, and then I've also been playing League of Legends off and on for the past couple of months. And the Blizzard Dota actually it changed a lot of the core gameplay that people have come to expect from Dota games, like having to last hit mobs in order to get money, as well as the neutral camps in the middle. Normally you'd have one person that could go through and it was referred to as jungling, would go through and instead of leveling by actually fighting somebody in a lane, they would just go and kill all the neutral mobs in the center. This one is actually a core mechanic of the gameplay, is you have to capture those neutral camps, and then it will increase all the minions that your side spawns. So it was rather radical change from the standard formula. So it was a little bit to get used to in the beginning.
Did you check it out, Grug?
Blizzard Dota, yeah. I haven't actually never played a Dota game before in any setting. I've seen a few replays, and a few of my friends play it. What I noticed about Blizzard Dota was that I did like how we could actually complete a game in the 20-minute mark, whereas most of the other replays I've seen, games can take like upwards of an hour. Of course, when it does come out, I'm probably going to skip it in favor of the Valve version that's coming out, Dota 2. I feel like the production value is going to be higher.
And that has the people who've been making the current version.
Yes, it's actually pretty much a port of the Warcraft 3 version with all the same heroes and powers, except way higher production values.
I'm the 5 millionth person on the internet to make this point, but it's just kind of weird that it's a Blizzard game, a mod of a Warcraft 3 map, and now another company's making a game of it.
I think it's really more like saying Microsoft could get a cut of someone who used Word to write a novel. I feel like the gameplay style wasn't particularly exclusive to Warcraft 3. I feel like it could have been done in other settings. It's just Warcraft had the best modding tools of the time.
Yeah, it's not like it's really a more Warcraft 3 game. It just uses that as the engine.
Yeah, especially since by the end of it, it had all original models, even if they were based on the old ones, like this Demon Lord and the Satyr and the Dryad and such.
Yeah, and it's like that wasn't even the first Dota game. That was Dota All-Stars, and I think it's Ice Frog is the person that went over to Valve in order to help make this game. The original developer of the game went on to Riot to make League of Legends.
Well, aren't you a font of encyclopedic knowledge?
Yeah, and it's like that all was based off of Aeon of Strife from the original StarCraft, and then I don't remember who it was, but they went through, they made someone made Dota and it became popular, and a whole bunch of other people went through and made Dota clones, eventually ended up with Dota All Stars, and that one was just the one that was most supported and came out with the most updates, and that's the one that became the most popular, and then kind of branched out from there. So it's it's not even their game or their name that they came up with, and they're making the Dota 2. So it's just no one ever copyrighted it, and it's a well-known name, so why not take the name?
I'm only amused that it's an acronym, for Defense of the Ancients, and everyone just calls it Dota, like that's the name of it.
Yeah.
I wonder if people who are playing it are going to buy it, don't even know that it's actually an acronym, and think, oh, Dota, what a weird name for a game.
Yeah.
Moving on to the other title at BlizzCon, which is, well, for one thing, this just came up in a news post, and I said that BlizzCon has been themed for World of Warcraft quite clearly every year, and some people were like outraged by that, like I was insulting Diablo or something. You guys have been to a few shows. Is there any doubt in your mind that it's primarily a World of Warcraft convention in terms of the fans attending, at least?
Oh, absolutely. Just sheer numbers.
The vast majority of the people that go to BlizzCon are there for World of Warcraft, especially like during the opening or closing ceremonies when they ask people to call out, they'll call out the StarCraft fans, the Diablo fans, and then when they call out WoW, the whole
for the Horde!
Stadium. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For the Alliance, like one guy's like, yay!
What's really hilarious? You can always tell when there's a WoW panel going on because most of the halls are just emptied. Unless you're in line for, like, loot elemental or to hand in a prize card, like, everyone's watching the panel. Which is awesome, because if you're not there for WoW, because then you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, and the lines at the WoW panels are crazy, too. I've had a few times where, like, I think 2 years ago I was filming a panel, and, it was a Diablo 3 panel, and there was a WoW panel starting afterwards, and, like, suddenly every chair is filling up with, like, 5 minutes to go, and, like, people are, like crouching in the hallways and stuff, just waiting to get a good seat for the World of Warcraft panel. And I guess I kind of assumed this was common knowledge, but, I mean, we had a news post, and I basically just said, it's a World of Warcraft convention, and some people were like, you're crazy, that's not true. I'm like, what? I guess you've never been to BlizzCon.
They're in denial.
You guys will vouch for me, right? It's definitely heavily themed for World of Warcraft. I mean, if you even count the number of panels and stuff,
Yeah.
So, World of Warcraft was at the show this year, and they introduced their new expansion pack, and it's got panda bears in it. And this has been you've been playing World of Warcraft for years, Neinball. And
yes.
Is this a secret cow level for an entire expansion, basically?
Not really. I mean, the Pandera have been in the game since Warcraft 3, so it's not like they're just, pulling something out of their ass at last minute to try and come up with something. It's been there for a while. Also, I mean, anyone that knows a little bit about Blizzard, that, Sam Wise, their, vice president of creative design, he has like a huge, infatuation with pandas. He's referred to as the panda overlord. So it shouldn't really come as any surprise to anyone that they've eventually worked the Pandaren into World of Warcraft.
But it wasn't like an Easter egg or kind of like a April Fool's joke sort of thing. I mean, it was like a mention and a reference, but they weren't really in the game, right?
No, it was a full character in the game. It was one of the main characters of one of the storylines.
Yeah, Chen Stormstout, right?
Yeah.
Bless you.
I mean, yeah. But yeah, he it was like, just right there in the forefront.
Is this a cynical marketing ploy to shore up their sagging subscription numbers in China?
No.
No.
Is it a cynical marketing ploy to drag in more young players with a cutesy, furry, huggable, roly-poly animal?
No to that, probably yes to the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Is this a cynical marketing ploy to attach themselves to an ongoing series of hit animated films now that the Shrek movies are gone and the Green Ogre thing is no longer of value?
No.
Oh, I hope so.
Did the guys at Blizzard totally run out of new ideas and this is basically a secret cow level for an entire expansion pack? You already said no. What's the general fan reaction to this? People who don't follow World of Warcraft, like myself,
And me.
are kind of like, there's panda bears in the game. The entire mist, it looks exactly like the trailer for Kung Fu Panda 3. Blizzard had to see this coming. I mean, but they don't, they've been in the game for a while, and obviously their fans are more invested in it and know that, that was the worst question ever. What is the general fan reaction as far as you can tell, Nineball? You've got friends who play World of Warcraft.
Yeah, the general reaction from the people that I play with, as well as people that I know that used to play and have since stopped playing, has been overall, positive. A lot of people were expecting, the Pandaren to actually come into the game a lot sooner than this. Some were a little shocked that it would be the main focus of the entire expansion, but I mean, overall, it's been positive. I think there's been a lot more negative feelings towards the inclusion of Pokemon in the game than it has been the actual, the Panda and content related to them.
And the Pokemon thing you refer to is you have there's new pet things you can kind of train them up like Tamagotchi kind of things.
Yeah, it's the non-combat pets, which were just kind of like a vanity item that you could go through and have follow you around from everything from like a Zergling, a mini Diablo to just roosters and things like that. They're now actually going to have stats and abilities that you can pit them in battle against other people's pets, and you can go out and catch wild pets to further train and keep all of it cataloged inside of your pet journal. And there will be special leaders out there that you can fight in order to get special abilities.
So they're actually going in and putting in stats on every single pet ever?
Most of them is what they said, yeah.
There's 100 or something, right, from all these different events they've had and everything?
I think there's over 170, 180 of them if you count all the things from the card game and all the different events and things.
Gotta collect them all.
Grunty the Space Marine.
So how is this going to affect the sale value of these 3 Tyrael mini pets I've been sitting on for 3 years?
It's probably going to go up.
That's good. I've been thinking I should sell them. I see them on eBay for about $800 generally, and no one seems to ever buy any though.
It really depends because one of my friends was going through and saying that he expects when they say that almost all the pets will be available will be everything except those collector's pets will be the only ones that you won't actually be able to use in the combat. Since
the ultra rare pets.
Yeah, since you have no way of actually acquiring them in the game besides having attended the events or buying them off of eBay.
Are these pets valuable can they fight monsters for you, or it's purely a thing where you can play your pets against other people's pets?
It's purely going to be against other people's pets. That's going to be the entirety of it. They're working out that you possibly could gain experience, so you could level your character from 1 to 90 in the expansion just by fighting other people's pets.
So it really is Pokemon.
Yes, it is.
Well, they're wild pets, too.
Yeah, it's like the wild. You can go out into the wild and catch the pets, and even just watching them explain this feature up on stage, they were holding back laughter as they were going through and explaining all of the features every time they hit up with the pet journal and the wild pets. And it's Pokemon without calling it Pokemon.
World of Warcraft has a weird sort of a fusion, I guess, of cool, hardcore fantasy dragon fighting with cute, sparkly little wide-eyed anime things.
Gnomes.
How do they make this work, do you think? I mean, how do they keep sort of both aspects of it? Where they can put in, mini Tyrael pets and, that new Tyrael's Charger horse with his giant hockey goalie knee pads and stuff. You could never stick in, a mini Thrall pet in Diablo 3, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah, I mean, it's the setup and the atmosphere is already there. Warcraft is already, pretty comical, and, very cartoony in just the way that it looks. So you can throw almost anything into it, and it will just fit, so long as you kind of keep the style somewhat the same. The blocky proportions and things like that, where you have hands larger than your head, and, it'll just work.
And shoulder pads larger than your body.
They're bringing that to Diablo.
Well, that's cool in Diablo, though. See, it's different in World of Warcraft. So speaking of, you said you have not played World of Warcraft, Grug?
I never said that. I played for a while a couple years ago, and then I got a 4-month subscription shortly after Cataclysm came out. That was all right, but once I got to level 85, I was just kind of bored with the game. I kind of ran out of stuff to do. And I also realized that even though Blizzard has been sort of redoing the content, there's still a lot of content that sucks, like the Burning Crusade and Northrend expansion packs. I'm just kind of wondering, what's the point of having this new expansion for levels 85 to 90 when, there's still so much of the rest of the game that's not going to get touched at all?
Because everyone like Neinball has been at level 85 for 6 months and wants more.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that they also said that they're going to address in the Mists of Pandaria is that they just took so much development time reworking the old world that there really wasn't that much to do at Endgame and Cataclysm, and it really showed. I mean, it's like outside of once you did your dungeons and you got yourself geared up for raids, there wasn't really any more reason to play besides raiding or PvPing, which in Mists of Pandaria they're going to be adding a lot more things to it. Such as like the challenge modes for dungeons, as well as just like PvE scenarios, which is kind of like PvP only without other players, and just they're adding a lot more to it that you can do once you hit the level cap.
So, are you excited for the expansion? A lot of people were kind of unsatisfied with Cataclysm.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. And one of the other like big things I noticed in the change is that they're like redoing the talent system, almost to the point where it's kind of like they're taking what the developers for Diablo 3 are doing with the talent system or the skills system in Diablo 3 and turning that into the talent system in World of Warcraft. So you guys are ruining my WoW. You're putting your Diablo in my Warcraft.
So we're having a little technical problems. Grug just got dropped by his ISP at his college, went out of line, and he is lost. He's no longer here. Wave bye-bye, Neinball.
Goodbye.
I think we beat the proverbial black and white spotted bear to death, and we're going to move on to Diablo 3 topics. Was there any other World of Warcraft stuff you had to throw in there? Oh, I was going to ask you about the 12-month subscription thing.
I plan, the expansion pack has my interest. I plan on playing it for another month, so it's essentially, just getting free Diablo out of it. So, I mean, for someone that's actually continuing to play WoW, it's a no-brainer, really.
You have a lot of friends in your guild, in your raiding group, who all still play World of Warcraft actively, yes?
Yes.
And they're generally excited about the expansion, the Mists of Panda?
Yeah. Expectations are pretty high. I don't think anybody's disappointed with it, like, in the guild.
How is their interest in Diablo 3?
A lot of us are really interested in Diablo 3, and we're kind of going to play a lot of that. Some have said that they're going to quit WoW for it, and, we'll just see where it goes from there.
They were already looking for Diablo 3 before the 12-month subscription thing came out.
Yes.
I was wondering if that was going to lure anybody back in or lure WoW fans into Diablo 3, but all the ones were already sold, pretty much.
More or less. I do have one friend that currently is not playing WoW, but he is going to come back and get the 12-month subscription for the free copy of Diablo 3, as well as the beta invite for the Mists of Pandaria right before Diablo 3 comes out.
So he's paying $180 for Diablo 3 and a WoW beta, but of course he gets WoW as well. So
yeah, well, it's because he's going to come back for the expansion because that really has his interest. He's kind of done with Cataclysm, but he does want to come back for this this new expansion. So he figured that he'll just come back, get the free Diablo out of it, and just kind of be playing around with that until the Mists beta test starts.
Obviously, you haven't taken a survey of this, but do you think that in your group of WoW players, Blizzard is making or losing money on this deal? In terms of would half of your guys have kept playing WoW and bought Diablo 3 as well?
I think it's like if in our particular group, they probably would, end up losing out on money because, the vast majority of us were going to continue playing WoW and buy, a separate copy of Diablo 3. And also, it's like you have a 12-year subscription, so you're going to be buying the
12
expansion.
Years, Jesus.
Oh yeah, 12 years. Sorry, 12-month subscription. So yeah,
you're almost there.
You
got 7 years so far into it. 6 years.
Yeah, five more years to go in the sentence. I mean, it's like if you're signing up for the 12-month subscription, you're going to be getting the expansion. It's like why would you be reined in for the full 12 months and not buy Mists of Pandaria? So they're not only getting the years worth of subscription fees, but they're also getting you to buy an expansion as well.
You did in fact play some Diablo 3 demo at BlizzCon.
Yes, I did.
Did you play the PVM or the PvP or just one or the other?
I played both. I only played the beta build once. For your first time through, it's like 2 hours of content that you only have 15 minutes to play through it with. So we did it once in order to go through and just to try it out. I picked a monk. That was pretty fun being able to go through and kill things, actually get the newest build of it. And we came across like a rare bat once we got to the cathedral, and we got our asses handed to us. It was just like brutal.
Exciting.
Yeah.
But the big demo most people played was the PvP.
Yeah, that demo was like the highlight for Diablo there at the convention. That was like the big thing that everyone had to do, and I have to say that was probably the longest line out of everything. I know in the last podcast, Wolf said that the PVM demo was longer, but every single time that I went over there, the PvP demo line was probably twice the size of anything else besides possibly the Dota line.
Could you tell how the machines were allocated in the Diablo 3 play area? Was it like 50-50?
Yeah, it was about 50-50. I think on the second day, there was actually a lot more dedicated to PvP. And it also seemed there was when I went to go and play the PvP demo once, there was like a brief hiccup on the machine, and it actually put us into the beta build instead of into the PvP arena. And they had to come through, have us log out and do like a little command on, I guess, what the head computer for that particular row was.
We were making jokes about BlizzCon last year, where there were these huge lines for Diablo 3, and no one was waiting in line for Warcraft or StarCraft because they didn't have any new content, and saying, why don't you switch these machines over to Diablo 3?
Yeah, it was also pretty obvious when you were there. There was rarely ever any line for the WoW demo, because that was like one of those ones you play it once and you're not going to get much farther than that. There's no real new content to see in that. Although I did actually go through and play it late on Friday, and since there was literally no one in line, they didn't care how long you played it. So I got to finish the starting area, and I played it for like an hour and a half.
Were you playing as a panda?
Yes, I was playing as a panda.
Oh,
I think you could only play as a panda, so it was forced upon you.
Well, what else would you ever want to play as? So, Diablo 3 PvP, did you get a wide variety of character choices?
No, I only played it 4 times. I played the monk 3 times and the wizard once. So I didn't have quite the varied experiences some of the other podcast guests have.
So what did you think? I mean, it was the first ever opportunity for level 60 characters. Yeah. Last year's PvP had level 30 characters. Could you compare it between last year and this year? Do they seem faster and more powerful?
Yeah, definitely seemed more powerful as far as how much damage you could put out with the characters, but also you didn't seem to scale as much in terms of your defense and your HP, because there were plenty of times when I would spawn and I'd be dead in 2 seconds, with a 10,000 health monk.
If you restarted in the wrong place.
Yeah, that was one of the little kind of like annoying things, is you could spawn in the middle of a 4-pack of the enemy group, whereas your group is on the other side of the map. So there wasn't really any intelligence to the spawning locations.
But I guess that made it so no one could camp either, so you didn't know where you were coming back.
Yeah, that's true.
How many respawn spots were there? Like 4 or 8 around the map, kind of in a circle around the outside, or?
It was definitely along the outside edges, and I'm trying to remember whether it was just like 4 spawn points, because the map was shaped like a square, or I guess a diamond, square on its side, and it was there's 4 spawn points at the 4 planes, not at the points.
The previous podcast on BlizzCon was just extensively about the PvP demo, so not to repeat all that stuff, but what was your basic take on it? Who was your, you played the monk, obviously you enjoyed him, but did you agree the Witch Doctor was the most powerful and the Demon Hunter was the least?
Yeah, I was never scared to go up against the Demon Hunter, except if they had a lot of discipline, I couldn't kill them. They could always get away, but I was never fearful of them. The wizard, once they pop that Archon form and you see that red beam coming across the screen, you're getting your ass out of there. I think there's only one game in which I played that had the Witch Doctor, and it was on our team, so I didn't really get to, experience, the Witch Doctor as far as, being able to go up against them. And I think the person on our team, it was their first time playing it, so they didn't really, they didn't do bad, but they're kind of like middle of the pack in terms of performance.
I thought it was interesting because you played last year's PvP as well, and the Witch Doctor was generally considered the strongest in that one.
Yeah, last year by far.
And he was good in that because he could use sacrifice on his mongrels, basically. And he
Yeah,
was
if you
really
could
good at this capability. And of
yeah,
course,
if
this
you
year's
could get
demo
all
had
three
no
of them.
sacrifice and no mongrels, and he was still really good. So
That I think that just goes to kind of like show, they actually took some time out in one of the panels to say that a like no pet witch doctor would be viable. And then they put a no pet witch doctor into the PvP, and from what people are saying, he just destroys everybody.
And it's funny because the Witch Doctor is still, either the least or the second least popular class in general player interest, it seems like.
Well, that could also just be a lot that, people might not really appreciate the little, comical flavoring of the Witch Doctor and their spells.
They're not World of Warcraft fans, you're saying?
Apparently. Diablo players don't like WoW?
I don't really think of him as being funny, personally, but, maybe it's obviously tastes vary.
Yeah.
But it's funny because some people are like, I'm not going to play him because, like you say, they don't like the animations or the sound effects or something, or that he's kind of skinny and chicken-like or whatever. He's wearing dog bones and coconut shells for armor, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think there's actually some people I remember from the forums a couple months ago that said that they will never play in a game with anyone that plays a witch doctor because it just ruins the experience for them. That it breaks their that suspension of disbelief when they're playing the game. That's just so far out there. I just kind of like, really?
Yeah, sure. And then if he's the most powerful kick-ass character, how long is that going to last?
Time will tell.
Yeah, it won't last at all. What was the ugliest hat in Diablo 2? The Harlequin's Crest.
Yeah, the most popular.
And everybody wore it because it was really, really good stats. So I don't think that their moral stand against the Witch Doctor is going to last about 1 second once they find out he's a really good character to play. Yeah,
once you get beaten by 160-0 in PvP of a team of 4 Witch Doctors, you'll probably change your tune.
Yeah, we'll see. And I think he's fine in the beta. I mean, he plays really, it's hard to judge the beta with just such low-level skills, but he's not in any way weak or unfun. Mm-hmm. Even with that, he's quite effective in the beta. You can go without dogs at all and still kick ass. He's got good enough spells easily to survive.
Yeah, and the Witch Doctor is also one of those ones that just drastically changes as soon as you start adding runes to his abilities,
which are not available in the beta. So
yeah,
one of many things we don't know yet.
Yeah, they seem to play radically different once you actually go through and add them, because it's like with the monk in the PvP demo when I was playing him, as opposed to the PVM demo, as well as the previous year's BlizzCons where the monk wasn't actually available in PvP and was just in the PVM side of it. He still played the same. You run in, you use your combo attack to generate spirit, and then you unleash with your spirit spenders, which in the the PvP demo this year was kind of like his big damage abilities were all spirit spenders, and it's it plays the same. You use those combos, and then you unload, and then you build your spirit back up, and then you unload, and just kind of like how you go through and play it. Not anything really changes. The runes just add to that.
Do you want more PvP demo? I mean, if you could play it right now, you'd be like, yes, you really enjoyed it.
Definitely. I mean, it's like I only played it I think twice last year, but this time I feel bad that I only got to play it 4 times and that I focused so much on the monk, especially after hearing a lot of other people's stories about the Witch Doctor and the Barbarian. It definitely has me hooked. It has me hooked a lot more than I was expecting to enjoy the PvP.
Yeah, I was going to say, were you planning on playing a lot of PvP before you played the demo, or has this won you over?
This has definitely won me over. I was thinking that it's like, after I hit level 60 and, gear out my character and play Inferno for a bit, maybe level up another character to 60, I'll try out PvP. But this time it's kind of like, I'll queue for PvP, anytime that I'm waiting for a friend to log on to go and do a quest or whatever, I'm just going to queue up and go and have at it no matter what level I'm at. It was just like, I didn't win a single round in all the games I played in, but it was still fun regardless.
Yeah, I noticed that last year. It just throws you into combat so quickly. You don't even care if you win or lose so much. And you just can you just die so a new round can start? And of course now it's deathmatch, so you don't have to wait anymore. What do you think makes it so fun? Just the immediacy of it? I mean, you're just there and you're in a really small arena with lots of other people and you're going to fight.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? The common quote is it's fast-paced, and people have already started making memes out of fast-paced, but it really was. It was just you kind of hit the ground running. You immediately just go in, and you start killing things or getting killed, and there's just the people you see a barbarian hit somebody in Wrath of the Berserker with a Hammer of the Ancients, and all of a sudden there's a corpse flying across the other side of the screen, and it's just fun. I mean, there's because there's always something going on. You're never sitting and waiting to do anything, waiting for a recamp. You know, you might be regrouping with your team for a little bit in order to go through and focus somebody down, but you just feel like you're always contributing and that, you know, you're actually, you know, accomplishing something at any point in time. Even if you're dying, you know, you got somebody down to like, you know, just a fraction of their health, and then you die, and then someone else gets the kill, and, you know, you get the assist for it. It was just, you know, tons of fun to go through and play. And there's never a dull moment in it either.
Never a dull second in it.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me that you scored a win in the trivia contest at BlizzCon.
Oh yeah, they have the lore zone, which is kind of like a little trivia contest that they've been doing since last year, and they have, you know, each day they have one lore zone for each franchise. Although I think they do WoW twice each day. You know, you'll sit in the little area that they have set up in between the World of Warcraft and the Diablo play areas, and it's just they'll ask a couple questions, and the first person to shout out the correct answer gets to come up and participate, and they'll bring two people up, and then they'll ask you a whole bunch of, you know, like true or false questions. They'll also, you know, going on the always to the east Diablo, you know, mem, they'll ask you which of these locations is further east in the world of Sanctuary. You know, and a whole bunch of things like that. And you get 4 lives, so you can, if you answer incorrectly 4 times, that's it. You know, you're done. After 12 questions, you got a little Diablo collector's pin. 17 questions, you got a WoW collector's art book, and then at the 22 questions, you got the Diablo 3 poker set. I think it was the previous day. Only the Diablo on Saturday or Friday, only the Diablo panel got anybody that actually made it to the 22 questions, and they normally have 4 or 5 rounds in the time period that they have set up. And then they had 1 WoW and 1 StarCraft from earlier in the day on Saturday. And then, you know, I managed to go through and get up there on stage, and I just friggin' knocked a home run. By the time we got to the 20th question, I still had 3 lives remaining. And so it's like, before we even got to the end, it was just kind of like, well, you won. So they gave me the prize, and the other guy had 1 life left, and he got the last question wrong. I just kind of like jokingly went to hand him, you know, the one of the little like life counters that they had, and the host was kind of like, screw it, you still have 2 lives left, let's do it. It's like, so he managed to get that last question right, and so it's in 1 round we almost doubled the number of people that actually won the contest.
So did he give you half his poker set?
Taking the collector's pin, but nah. It was just fun to be able to, you know, help someone else, you know, get a win in there and help out a fellow Diablo fan.
So set the stage a little here. How large an area is this?
It looked to seat about 60 people.
And it's just sort of a little alcove somewhere in the middle of the hall, like between the big panel sets and such?
Yeah, it's between the major halls. At the front of the convention center, where all the doors and entrances are, is where the main walkways. It takes up about half of that area, to where they have the stage and the seating area set.
And this was crowded with people while you're doing this?
Yeah, the Diablo one filled up completely, both times that I was there, because I didn't get a chance to participate on Saturday or on Friday, and also on Saturday when I actually, you know, did get to compete. Both times it just had filled up completely.
And so you're up on a little stage in front of 60 some odd people.
Yeah.
And there's like a Blizzard employee like rattling off questions for you. Can you remember some of the questions? Are they really tricky? I mean, are you deeply steeped in the lore and you memorized all the novels, or?
Like last year, it was just questions from the game, and, you know, it was asking, you know, is this character from Diablo 1 or Diablo 2? This year, they actually asked a lot of questions, primarily from the novels. And, like, some of them I got right just because I knew. It's like they would ask, you know, they would say, like, true or false, who was the healer in Tristram? You know, it's like, and then they'd have a second person that would say Griswold was the healer. You know, he was the healer in Diablo 1, and then you get to say true or false, and of course it was Pepin, you know, so you'd say false in order to get it right, and so it was just, you know, kind of set up like that.
That doesn't sound like a very hard question.
Yeah, so some of them were from some of the ones from the novels, because they asked like who the like the main antagonist, who the general who wore Bartok's helmet from the Legacy of Blood. I couldn't remember what his name was, you know, so I just, you know, kind of guessed on that one. I managed to get it right. But
so they give you multiple choice then?
Well, no, it's like they'll say who is the, you know, what's the general's name, And then, the lady Evelyn, who's the like the lore keeper for Blizzard, she would just say off a name and a description, and then you'd say whether that was true or false. And another one that they did is they played like sound clips, of dialogue from Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, and then she would say a name, this is who said that, and you'd have to identify it and say whether that was true or false. And then they also had which location is further east, so they'd be like which is further east, Ivograd or Lutgalain. West March or Kurast.
And you won your Diablo 3 poker set.
Yes, I did.
Are you going to open it and play with it, or is it a collector's thing on your shelf forever?
If I can actually ever get anybody interested in playing any card games, I'd love to be able to take it out and play with it.
You would scuff your merchandise.
Yeah, I was never really one of those collectors. I always like to take the toys out of the wrapping and play with them.
It's not on eBay already, I take it.
No, it is not.
So on the whole, you enjoyed the BlizzCon? It was one of your better ones?
Oh yeah, this one definitely, just being able to meet so many great people, from the forums and, the first time being able to meet some of the people from the guild in person. It was just an amazing experience. I also I ran into Richard Knack at one of the after parties on Saturday night and asked him briefly if he was, working on anything for Diablo 3, and he kind of, he thought for a second and then just gave the the predetermined answer of there's the Book of Cain that's coming out, as well as the Oath coming out by the other author next year. He couldn't comment on if he was working on anything himself for the Diablo, but he did mention that a lot of the stuff in the Book of Cain is actually being pulled from the Sin War trilogy that he worked on.
He wasn't embittered and staggering around drunk, that he's been passed over as the Diablo 3 novelist?
No, he actually looked as if he was on his making his way out of the hotel at the time. I just kind of stopped him as he was cutting his way through the crowd.
You meet any developers, by the way?
This year, unfortunately, no.
So, BlizzCon 2012. Are you counting the seconds until you can get your pre-order?
Yeah, I think I'm actually looking forward to it. It's kind of become a yearly vacation now. Just being able to go out there and just have fun. There's a couple people that went this year that they're not sure if they're going to go. One, because of finances, and two, they're kind of thinking what's going to be there. They're not going to announce another WoW expansion. And Diablo and StarCraft have just come out. What are they going to have to announce? From those franchises, so that they're kind of sitting back, waiting to see what they could actually have to talk about. But I'm probably going to end up going to try and go again.
Yeah, it does seem like that would be a good year for Titan, given from what you just said. Diablo 3 and StarCraft will just have come out. They won't be ready for their expansions yet.
Yeah.
Unless maybe they might announce the Diablo 3 expansion, but who knows? It'd be 8 months later or something at most.
Yeah, they might give it a name, at least hint at it a little bit, because it's like last year, StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty, it just came out, and they didn't talk about Heart of the Swarm at all. They said, we're not even at the art panel. They said we're not even gonna mention it, so we're just gonna show you some of the stuff we've been working on for Blizzard Dota.
So it really does seem like next year would be a good time for Titan. If they need something, at least the other three games are not going to be at a development point where they'll be able to talk about much new.
It would definitely be a very good window of opportunity for them to make a big announcement like that.
Which means, of course, they'll miss it by 2 years because they're Blizzard. Okay, Neinball, thanks for the chat.
No problem.
And I hope glad you enjoyed BlizzCon, and we're all looking forward to PvP demo Diablo 3 beta time. Fun.
Yes, we can only hope that they add it in, and
they won't. We're not going to get it.
Yeah, very true. We can. It's
going to be fun. It's going to be fun when the game comes out, though. Racing up, trying to get a character higher level so you can kick ass in the arena.
Yeah, and then of course you're going to have the crying on the forums that this person's overpowered, and all the other types of stuff. That'll be fun just to sit back and read.
Someone told me to describe it. I'm not sure fun is the word I would have chosen, but anyway, you've been listening to the Diablo podcast. We are online at diablopodcast.com. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.